German is a West Germanic language that derives most of its vocabulary from the Germanic branch of the Indo-European language family. A portion of German words are derived from Latin and Greek, and fewer are borrowed from French and English. Languages which are most similar to German include Afrikaans, Dutch, English, the Frisian languages, the continental Scandinavian languages and Luxembourgish. A Germanophone is a speaker of the German language either natively or by preference. German is the most widely spoken language in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, the Italian province of South Tyrol and Liechtenstein. It is also an official language of Belgium and Luxembourg, with slightly different standardized variants. German is a pluricentric language. German is also notable for its broad spectrum of dialects, with many unique varieties existing in Europe and also other parts of the world. Due to the limited intelligibility between certain varieties and Standard German, as well as the lack of an undisputed scientific difference between a dialect and a language, some German varieties or dialect groups are alternatively referred to as languages and dialects. One of the major languages of the world, German is the first language of about 95 million people worldwide and the most widely spoken native language in the European Union. German also is the third most widely taught foreign language in both the US and the EU, the second most commonly used scientific language, the third largest contributor to research and development, as well as the third most widely used language on websites. Germany is ranked 5th in terms of annual publication of new books, with 1/10 of all books in the world being published in the German language. History. Origins. The history of the German language begins with the High German consonant shift during the migration period, which separated Old High German dialects from Old Saxon. The earliest evidence of Old High German is from scattered Elder Furdark inscriptions, especially in Alemannic, from the 6th century AD. The earliest glosses date to the 8th century, and the oldest coherent texts to the 9th century. Old Saxon, at this time, belonged to the North Sea Germanic cultural sphere, and Lower Saxony was to fall under German, rather than Anglo-Frisian, influence during the existence of the Holy Roman Empire. Because Germany was divided into many different states, the only force working for a unification or standardization of German for several hundred years was the general wish of German writers to be understood by as many readers as possible. Modern German Germany. When Martin Luther translated the Bible, he based his translation primarily on the standard bureaucratic language used in Saxony, also known as Meisner Deutsch. This language was based on Eastern Upper and Eastern Central German dialects, and preserved much of the grammatical system of Middle High German. Unlike the spoken German dialects in Central and Upper Germany, which had, at that time, already begun to lose the genitive case and the preterite tense, copies of Luther's Bible featured a long list of glosses for each region that translated words which were unknown in the region into the regional dialect. Roman Catholics initially rejected Luther's translation, and tried to create their own Catholic standard of the German language. The difference in relation to Protestant German was minimal. It was not until the middle of the 18th century that a widely accepted standard was created, ending the period of early New High German. Until about 1800, Standard German was mainly a written language. In urban northern Germany, the local Low Saxon or Low German dialects were spoken. Standard German, which was markedly different, was often learned as a foreign language with uncertain pronunciation. Northern German pronunciation was considered the standard in prescriptive pronunciation guides. However, the actual pronunciation of Standard German varies from region to region. The Austrian Empire German was the language of commerce and government in the Habsburg Empire, which encompassed a large area of Central and Eastern Europe. Until the mid-19th century, it was essentially the language of townspeople throughout most of the empire. Its use indicated that the speaker was a merchant or someone from an urban area, regardless of nationality. Some cities, such as Prague and Budapest, were gradually Germanized in the years after their incorporation into the Habsburg domain. Others, such as Pozsony, were originally settled during the Habsburg period, and were primarily German at that time. Some cities remained mainly non-German, but most cities, such as Prague, Budapest, Bratislava, Zagreb, and Ljubljana, were primarily German during this time, despite being surrounded by territory where other languages were spoken. In the eastern provinces of Banat and Transylvania, German was the predominant language not only in the larger towns, such as Temeschwar, Hermannstadt and Kronstadt, but also in many smaller localities in the surrounding areas. Standardization. In 1901, the Second Orthographical Conference ended with a complete standardization of the German language in its written form. The Deutsche Bundespresse had established conventions for German pronunciation in theatre 3 years earlier. However, this was an artificial standard that did not correspond to any traditional spoken dialect. Rather, it was based on the pronunciation of Standard German in northern Germany, although it was subsequently regarded often as a general prescriptive norm. Despite differing pronunciation traditions, especially in the Upper German-speaking regions that still characterize the dialect of the area today, especially the pronunciation of the ending ig as k instead of c. In northern Germany, Standard German was a foreign language to most inhabitants, whose native dialects were subsets of Low German. It was usually encountered only in writing or formal speech. In fact, most of Standard German was a written language, not identical to any spoken dialect, throughout the German-speaking area until well into the 19th century. Media and written works are now almost all produced in Standard German, which is understood in all areas where German is spoken. The most comprehensive guide to the vocabulary of the German language is found within the Deutsches Wörterbuch. This dictionary was created by the Brothers Grimm and is composed of 16 parts which were issued between 1852 and 1860. In 1872, grammatical and orthographic rules first appeared in the Duden Handbook. In 1901, this was declared the standard definition of the German language. Official revisions of some of these rules were not issued until the controversial German orthography reform of 1996 was made the official standard by governments of all German-speaking countries.